A challenge that is often hidden is narcissistic abuse. Survivors may suffer long-term effects from it. For fear or humiliation, many survivors keep some parts of their experiences hidden. 10 things that many survivors hide from the public view behind closed doors will be revealed in this eye-opening video. 1. Abuse by narcissists. Sufferers conceal their psychological injuries. Abuse motivated by narcissism. Survivors might conceal their psychological suffering from others. They suffer great pain, yet they are reluctant to admit it to the public. Psychologists speculate that this can be the result of feelings of guilt or dread of being judged. Psychotherapist Dr. Julie Hall notes that survivors may put up a brave front to keep from feeling weak or vulnerable. It's like putting on a mask to cover up the hurt, but you have to keep in mind that below that mask they may be dealing with deep emotional traumas. Even if survivors may not show their wounds, they exist and should be supported by people in their immediate vicinity. Offering a safe place for someone you know to open up can really help them heal if they are going through anything similar. 2. Abuse by narcissists. Survivors keep their loneliness hidden. Survivors of narcissistic abuse frequently conceal their intense emotions of isolation and loneliness. Leading authority on narcissism, Dr. Craig Malkin, notes that narcissists control their victims by instilling in them a sense of worthlessness and isolation. Survivors frequently internalize these emotions, which makes them withdraw from social situations and conceal their suffering. Moreover, prominent clinical psychologist Dr. Romani Dervasula clarifies that survivors conceal their loneliness as a coping tactic. They worry about being judged by others and called overly sensitive. For them to begin their recovery process, they must break through their silence and get help. It may facilitate their efforts to rebuild relationships with others. 3. Abuse by narcissists. Those who have survived conceal their nervous thoughts. Because they've been through so much, sufferers of narcissistic abuse frequently conceal their nervous thoughts. Because narcissists are skilled at criticizing their victims, survivors have anxiety in all they do. Narcissistic abuse survivors, according to another expert, Dr. Les Carter, tend to hold all of their nervous thoughts within because they are afraid of making a mistake and drawing additional judgment. They may think that nobody will be able to relate to them or accept them. These survivors must find assistance and a secure place to express themselves because holding in their thoughts and feelings can have a negative impact on their mental health. 4. Survivors of narcissistic abuse conceal their problems with trust. Survivors of narcissistic abuse frequently conceal their trust concerns from others. Trust is important and difficult to rebuild if it is lost. Sharing trust difficulties can be difficult for survivors, as Dr. Romani notes. They may suppress these emotions out of fear that people won't relate to them or would condemn them. But never forget that wholesome partnerships require trust. Seeking assistance from friends or experts can play a crucial role in the process of recovering and regaining trust. 5. Abuse by narcissists. Those who have survived conceal their sadness. Survivors of narcissistic abuse frequently conceal their despair from others. They can be afraid that people won't get it or feel embarrassed. Because the narcissist has conditioned them to feel that their emotions are unimportant, survivors may choose to hide their anguish and despair. Their mental health may be impacted by this emotional repression, which may also make it more difficult for them to ask for assistance or support. According to Dr. John Smith, survivors may decide to suffer in silence out of fear of the stigma attached to mental health conditions. It is imperative to seek assistance from loved ones, friends, or therapists in order to overcome these melancholic thoughts and emotions. Hi there, viewers. 80% of you haven't subscribed. Did you know that? Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you found it useful. Your help is much appreciated. Let's move on now. 6. Victims of narcissistic abuse conceal their shame. Survivors of narcissistic abuse may harbor deep-seated guilt. This guilt may have resulted from their failure to notice the telltale symptoms of narcissism in their abuser. They can accuse themselves of being too long silent. Even though they are not to blame, survivors could believe that they are to blame for the abuse. Carrying this misguided shame can be very taxing. Renowned psychiatrist Dr. Judith Herman emphasizes how narcissists' deception and gaslighting techniques frequently lead to survivor guilt. Because they don't want to bother others or show their weakness, they conceal their shame. In order to move past this underlying guilt and begin to heal, survivors must find assistance. They have to understand that the abuse they have received is not their fault. 7. Abuse by narcissists. Survivors keep their self-doubt hidden. Abuse motivated by narcissism, survivors tend to conceal their self-doubt from others. According to Dr. Romani Dervasula, abuse of this nature can have an impact on a person's mental and self-worth. Despite the fact that they are not inadequate, survivors may feel that way. Let's say you have a friend who has experienced this type of assault. Even though they appear assured on the outside, they may be secretly self-conscious. It seems like they are engaged in a covert conflict. They may find it difficult to talk about it. So keep in mind that occasionally a person's difficulties are not fully depicted by what is visible on the outside. 8. Survivors of narcissistic abuse conceal their painful past. Survivors of narcissistic abuse frequently conceal their upsetting recollections. They keep those painful memories buried deep within and rarely talk about them. Renowned psychiatrist Dr. John Crystal suggests that people may shy away from talking about these memories since they can elicit strong feelings. They do this to shield themselves from the potential emotional upheaval these memories may cause. Dr. Judith Herman does, however, note that talking about these events with a trusted person might be essential to healing. Therefore, even though survivors may first keep these memories to themselves, they need to find a safe place to talk. It's as like the light has been let in and the door to those suppressed memories has been unlocked. In this manner, they might begin to reconstruct their lives. 9. Abuse by narcissists. Survivors conceal the health issues brought on by the maltreatment. Abuse motivated by narcissism. Survivors frequently conceal health issues brought on by the abuse. Dr. Romani Dervasula, a psychologist, has observed that victims of narcissistic abuse may suffer from extreme tension and anxiety as a result. Their physical well-being can suffer as a result. They may conceal it out of embarrassment or fear of others' opinions. Certain survivors could experience inexplicable aches, pains, or even long-term illnesses. These are all brought on by the ongoing stress and mental instability that narcissistic abusers inflict. Dr. Judith Olof emphasizes the detrimental effects that toxic relationships can have on the immunological system, the digestive system, and even the heart. Survivors need to ask for help. Ignoring these health issues could make them suffer longer. Recall that asking for and providing assistance is frequently the first step toward recovery. 10. Survivors of narcissistic abuse conceal their financial hardships. Survivors of narcissistic abuse frequently conceal their financial hardships from the public. Psychologists speculate that the power dynamics in narcissistic relationships may be the source of this concealment. In order to preserve their power, narcissists frequently manage their partner's money. In order to maintain a facade of normalcy, survivors sometimes conceal their financial issues. They are afraid of being judged or of the narcissist manipulating them more. It's critical to realize that money abuse in narcissistic relationships is a serious problem. It could make one feel powerless. To escape this cycle, survivors require understanding and support. Psychoanalyst Dr. Robin Stern stated that maintaining concealment is a means of survival. However, the first step to recovery and taking back control is talking about these difficulties. Therefore, lending a sympathetic ear and demonstrating empathy might be helpful to someone who is healing from narcissistic abuse. Survivors of narcissistic abuse frequently conceal a great deal from society due to feelings of guilt, dread, and the idea that others won't get it. But it's important to understand that these unseen struggles may have a negative impact on their well-being. Provide a safe space for someone you know who may be experiencing narcissistic abuse so they can open out. Recall that recovery is achievable. Nobody should ever have to keep their suffering hidden. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel if you found this video educational. We have more amazing videos coming up soon. We appreciate your help so much.